when you're in the workshop. Week 1 is January 19th. Through our activities, you'll be able to describe different types of projects or organizations or clubs, and then identify which one is the right one that you think tentatively for you. You'll start analyzing your community. And on the next week, January 26th, you'll have the tools to then move forward. After you've researched the landscape as a group together, you'll understand what the causes are that you'd like to address or the needs that you'd like to remedy. You'll have a way that you think you can position your activity, your organization, to have an impact, to add value. Then you will have a week off between the workshops where there's some research, not a lot of homework, but some research that you'll be doing, so that when you come back February 9th, week 3, you're ready to think about this in more of a plan of attack. What are you going to do? And we will have sort of fill in the blank processes that you'll go through to analyze who are your partners, where is this happening, what are the logistics. And when I say partners, I mean existing organizations or people doing things in the space that you'll be in. That might be the way to do it, to work with partners. So we want to understand, what does that look like? What does that mean? You're still the leader, you're still building your team, but you're not doing it from scratch. Next slide. This week 4 session, which would be February 23rd, we'll start looking at the pros and cons of working with the partner organizations, with the structures that already exist, and look at what would it be if you went it and created your own organization, your own club. And yes, you have your friends and your colleagues who are doing similar things, or maybe they're doing things that are so different, they're not the right partners for you. So we want to equip the students, equip you with ways to, if you don't work with hand in hand, you work on your own and you have your fans. It's a different way to go. It means that you have people that are willing to support in ways that works for them, organizations that are willing to support, but you're doing your own organization that doesn't yet exist. We call that the build path. And that's what week 4 is. Week 5 would be March 2nd, and this is the final touches. Going more in the weeds of what is happening when. We'll use a calendar app. We'll have activities planned and mapped. You'll know your budget. You'll know your fundraising activities. You'll build a website or a social media presence. And so it starts to actually happen that week. As a result, we'll take a week in between week 5 and week 6 for you to line up all the resources you need, for me to review your plan, because it will be written out in detail now, and to see ways that it can maybe be adjusted, to find you the resources and people that can help. And when we meet for the last session, we can review your final business plan, your step-by-step plan, and start thinking about your legacy. You know, what does this look like a year from now, a few years from now? Is this something that you're going to want to continue working with, or will you want to have someone that you hand this down to? What does this look like in your life later? And I'm hoping that the workshop, the people that you've been working with in this workshop, become your support group, and we can plan follow-up meetings, because now you're all entrepreneurs. You've been in an incubator together and launched out into the world and can touch base to help each other moving forward. Next slide. So I talk a lot about the what's going to happen, how you're going to get it is a little bit different though. I'm not comfortable lecturing as I am now. That's not what you want. Students don't come in to be lectured. We're coming in to be really active. The activities that we'll be doing are focused on the practical, the useful, they're real, they're doable. When I say active, I mean the students. The students in this workshop will be speaking. They'll be thinking, they'll be reflecting, they'll be researching, they'll be writing and creating. I will do some mini presentation, mini lecture, but through working on activities and resources, the students will be actively involved in their learning. And when I say guided, I mean, we have resources that are fill in the blank. We have some that are sort of sentence starters that the students finish. We have templates. So that means that students are not working from scratch saying, gosh, how do I email the CEO of this nonprofit? There's no flying blind. We are using things that have happened for real, that people have used, that have worked, and then we're personalizing it to the students' goals, to the students' project. And iterative means as we meet each step of the way, the plan changes. So if you come in to the workshop and you're not entirely sure what you want to do, that's fine. We'll define it. And as you get more information, you'll change it because we should change as we get information. And if you initially have a plan and discover someone's doing the same exact thing, that's okay. We have the tools, we have the support so that you can do something that's unique. And as I said before, this entire experience can then be repeatable for the student on their own in the future. Next slide. I like to just give you a little bit more insight on what I mean by activities. So it's been noticed that volunteering and projects that you create from volunteering come from 3 different places. They come from your interests, what some people call passion. They come from your skills. You might not know where you want to apply your website design. It could be to something in the environment. It could be to something related to homelessness, you know. So you have a skill, but you don't know the cause. That's okay too. And then the third driving factor is you just want to have an impact, meaning you want to solve a problem. So you don't come in with a pre-existing notion of what you're going to do or who you're going to impact. You're just looking for the need. So we have different activities that enable you to brainstorm, research, define, test, discuss. And in the end, you will be also looking at different models and trying them on for size, meaning imagine now you're going to do that model. You'll pitch. What would that look like? Let's try a different model, pitch something else. So it's a bit playful, but that's the only way to know sometimes, by experiencing, by trying, by imagining. The research validation, we'll use internet, we'll use resources that I have. Next slide. So the partner and the build path, as I described, are a choice at a certain point, but an exploration of both. So what that means is you start by thinking how you can partner, and then if you need to build, we want to take you all the way towards building. 501c3 is something that you might be familiar with. It's a legal status. It means you're incorporated and registered, and if someone gives you money, it's a tax write-off for what it's worth. It's a big deal. It means you have a board of directors and you're registered with the IRS. So from partnering and creating a longstanding project to building a real nonprofit organization, we want to cover all of that. And the way to do that in our meetings is going to be with that envisioning. So it will be carrying it out as if they're leading it, as if they're doing it, writing it up and pitching it. Next slide. The final weeks are going to seem a little bit like as if we are all working on each other's teams. So that means we'll take turns. Everyone will essentially build out their website together. We will give the feedback. We will make it good. You will create your flyers. You're using Canva or using Adobe. We have different tools that you could choose from, and we'll be helping each other. You'll actually be as if you're on an entrepreneurial team launching it. We'll look at your calendar. You'll practice what it's like to invite people, us, to your meetings, and then you will invite the real people. So you'll sort of be practicing on all of us and then launching it for real. Now, as you're going through this, as you're going to be going through this after the workshop too, I'm going to be giving people advice related to the college application consideration. You're not doing this for your college application, but you will be someday applying to college. So you'll want to figure out, how does this fit into that? That application process, if you've looked at it, if you know anyone who's looked at it, can be a lot of essays, can be a lot of little bullet points, and definitely involves letters of recommendation. So we want to make sure that somebody, a teacher, knows what you're doing. Someone becomes a collaborator with you so that they can attest to it when you're applying to college. Possibly it could be the center of an essay that you write if this project really becomes meaningful to you. And we'll discuss how that can look as well. Next slide. Okay, so what does this really mean? What are you emerging with from this workshop? It's going to be different. Each student will have their own project. It will be personal to them. It will be specific to their community and the different partners and people that they bring in. What you'll all have in common is the process we went through and the tools that you know now you can access, the resources that you can go back to. But really, I think it's incredible how you can come out with you. It's your leadership, your initiative, your dream, and then the bigger picture of the people and the world that you'll be impacting. That's why I'm excited about this. I know that I'm going to turn this over to Rebecca, and I'm going to stay here in case you all have questions. I could answer them later.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I really appreciate, and I hope the audience felt how I felt. I think Deborah comes with a lot of experience working with the young students. And I think what's more important is that you're not doing this for college, but ultimately you do benefit. I think it's the personal development through that experience and working with others, come up with ideas, but also just along the way, you are bound to have adversities, and overcoming that is really shaping the character. And I think Dora just comes across real compassionate and passionate. Very, very lucky to have her. So in the next 10 minutes, I wanted to quickly go through how this eventually may be able to help you and support you in college applications. And meanwhile, think about some of the questions that you wanted to ask Devora. Feel free to type it on the chat window, and we'll get to that in just 10 minutes or so. And I wanted to emphasize that, this day and age, the competition is global. And people are bound to work with a lot of the remote workers, people from different countries. And also remember, AI agents have arrived. And many of the future jobs, we don't know what they are yet. We say the best job is yet to be invented. So what that calls for is our younger generation to develop a different skill set. I often say when I was a student 20 plus years ago, I just have to be good at taking exams and then memorizing the dictionary. But those days are over, right? You don't need to get these information and knowledge. They are abundant. But what you really, really need is creativity, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, which means our next generation of young students need to be learning to be in this more flexible, dynamic learning style. And our educators should be inspiring, mentoring, and igniting our students' curiosity. That's how we build the next generation talent and be able to face the challenges of 21st century. So what Kyros has done in the past is build all this knowledge for you to know who you are and what are the goals of college and major will be aligned with your personal interest, your value, your skills, and your hopes and dreams. So how we think this will unfold for our younger students is that when they first get started, we're going to provide some personal assessment. But you can see along the way, including personal development, academic planning, of course, taking some standard tests, but extracurriculars all the way till you reach college. It is the path to shape who you are. And even we tell you what you're supposed to do, sometimes you can't do it alone. So you do need the best educators. Some of them are professors and Deborah as a mentor, and many of them are admissions officers, and they are here to support you 7 days a week, walk this journey with you. So the results between the combination of technology and our educators really show for itself. Many of our students got into, Ivy League, about 19% of them. 90% of them got into top 50. And it is because this holistic personal development super important. And along the way, of course, we have 1,500 educators and helping our family to get scholarships to reduce the family's financial burden. So in our product, you will see there are two membership for the family, one for the parent, one for the student. But really, we anchor this by technology, the database, the generative AI, but we guide our students by the best educators working with them 7 days a week. So inside the product or platform, you can see this is the journey our student will walk through. The first thing is do the assessment, know yourself, know your interests, your strengths, your skills, and your hopes and dreams so that we know how you can be aligned with a college and major. Where are the gaps you have today? And therefore, we can plan the roadmap. Then strategy, still the easy part, and the implementation, every step of the way, every milestone is harder. And this is where our educators come in. For example, today we will say create your own service initiative or nonprofit organization. This is also helping you to build a personal brand. And along the way, you will see between the educators and the specific roadmap carved out for you, you will be able to complete that, eventually get to the desired major and the desired college. And you can see out of the 1,500 of these experts, many of them are professors from universities, many of them are admissions officers from UPenn, Emory, Tufts universities, Duke, you name it. And these are the people do live workshops with our students 7 days a week. There are two tiers. The first tier we call the sprint programs. The reason we call them sprint because they are 5 week long. So they typically happen on Saturday, Sunday, and you go through the workshop. You may have some homework and the review, but then you have also much longer engagement. The FutureYou program is much more tailored, and it can go from 7, 8 weeks to even 3 to 6 months if you are to do research publication or generative AI or community impact or creating your own nonprofit. So these are all the educators here working with the students on a daily basis. And I also mentioned earlier that your ed journey, we call the milestones and the roadmap, will be custom, tailor-made as our student develop and grow. And along the way, specific programs help you to accomplish the specific milestones. So whether it's a research college, writing your essays, or doing other programs. And the format is, you can see, you're going to have a live session. After live session, you may have some homework you will be doing on your own or with a group. And you're going to have a progress report. So every single milestone breaks down to the specific tasks. And of course, as you go through this journey, we're also tracking your progress, both academically and extracurricular. And the softer one is the personal development and the readiness for college. And of course, along the way, we're also gonna give you an AI assistant, just like Devora. She's gonna be working with you in live sessions, but while she's not around, the AI agents can answer specific questions 24/7, and they don't have to eat or sleep or go on vacation. Um, Before we go into Q&A, I do wanted to call your attention that we have a Christmas present for you. This is December, so we just completed these assessment, and it's available to you on the website. You do need to get a code from us, so make sure if it's interesting to you, let us know, including very comprehensive 7-8 page long your jumpstart and analyze your college, major fitness, gap analysis, roadmap planning. But also, if you are thinking about financial fitness, where you get scholarships and the grants and just get a federal and the state government aid, or if you're thinking about taking SAT versus ACT, we have a suite of assessments for you. And in here, once you go in, you will be able to not just follow the process, but also see examples. We have 300,000 college students, what they did in high school or middle school, and more like you, where they are. You will be able to see real examples of a current college students' profile. And as many of you know, every Sunday we have a Sunday live session with educators. And this coming Sunday, I know it's very close to Christmas, you will actually hear from Daniel. And he's a PhD from Cornell, but also he's an award-winning composer. A Gates Fellow. So if you are interested in music, whether it's a college, different programs, majors, or career, Daniel is the best person to speak to. Or if you just wanted to listen to some of his music that's award-winning, you are very welcome to join us as well. And as mentioned, this December, we are giving you a free assessment. We're also giving you a $500 voucher that you can apply to any of the FutureYou program, including the one that Devora will get started in January. So do keep that in mind. Without any further ado, let me stop the recording and go in.